Welcome to the Big Success Show. Today, the downside of finding your passion.
Big Success with the Professor and Mary-Lynn.
Today's show is inspired by a new study on finding your passion. It's going to be published here real soon in Psychological Science.
And the researchers found that find your passion, something we hear all the time. They say this is harmful advice.
Yeah, and Mary-Lynn, we've actually been saying that since 2008. I looked it up.
And we're not
10 years
researchers.
ago. No, we're not. No.
But we'll tell you why we've been saying it, why the researchers are saying it today, and what you should do instead. And it will help you spiral upwards.
Oh, that sounds pretty good to me. Spiraling upwards instead of spiraling down. Well, I'm the Professor, George Kruger.
And I'm Mary-Lynn. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it.
So the study says that the advice to find your passion leads people astray.
So telling people to find their passion, they say, makes it harder for people to actually discover their passion. That doesn't make sense.
Well, it's because if you think about it, it's a matter of approach. It's a matter of seeing all these bright, shiny objects, and any one of them we could be possibly passionate about, right?
I think I get it. So it's like if I were to ask you, tell me your favorite song, you'll have to stop for a minute because there's at least a handful that you could think would be your favorite. And then you'll be stuck trying to figure out, well, which one is my favorite?
Yeah.
So is that kind of the way it works with passion?
That's a
that
fantastic
you think about
example.
It,
yes.
Like, and it's such an important answer.
And it depends on your moods, right? Sometimes you like certain kinds of music, other times others. And passions can kind of be similar to that. So that's a great example, Mary-Lynn. I'm glad you came up with that.
So let's get to it then. The downside of finding your passion and a better way of doing it by getting started and spiraling upwards.
That's the point. Yep.
We hear all the time that you need to find your passion, but not so much we hear about that you need to find your purpose. So, what do you think the reason is for that? Why is passion always the star of the show?
Well, let me put it this way. Think about the two words, passion. What do you feel?
Passion. I feel passionate.
Yeah.
I guess.
Passion is sexy, right?
Yeah.
Passion is new. It's exciting and it's popular. Our culture is passionate about passion. Purpose.
It seems a little bit more like duty. Like
yes.
The purpose is that's what I'm supposed to do.
Yes. And actually it is. It's all about duty. It's what I'm supposed to do, right? So the thing is, I think about it this way, Mary-Lynn. So you had your music. I'm going to give one now.
Okay.
Purpose is Cinderella. Purpose is just sitting there. It's a maid. It's a hard worker. Yeah. Underneath all that work is the beautiful future bride of the prince, near the prince in this case. So the point is that, it's kind of a Cinderella story, right? But passion is that thing that kind of gets us going, whereas purpose is that thing that keeps us going.
So that's interesting. Yes, you can have the passion, but you got to be willing to scrub the floors, right?
That's a good way to put it. Yes.
Okay. Obviously, we need them both, right? We can't just have passion. We can't just have purpose.
Right, and I think this is where a lot of people think, well, that's just find your passion. That's just bogus advice. That's not what this study's saying. Okay, and that's not what we've been saying. It is not an either or. It's an and. But understanding the components of that and is really important. So like passion burns hot and bright, but it can quickly get snuffed out. Makes sense, right? What the study says is that people who try to, quote, find their passion, they quickly give up when they run into obstacles. And, it reminds me of Ben Franklin said, the only thing certain in life are death and taxes. Guess what? The other one is obstacles.
Yeah,
obstacles are certain.
That's true.
So we know we're going to run into them. Focusing too much on finding your passion ends up in a situation where we just basically just give up. And I like to think about it this way. Think about a loving relationship. Your spouse, your significant other.
Our relationship, sure.
So when you first see, like when you're first kind of getting together, you're all starry-eyed. Mary-Lynn, you looked at me like, boy, he's the most handsome guy I've ever seen.
This is true.
But the point is, like, we don't see the faults, we don't see the flaws, we don't see the bad sides. We see kind of an idealized. Why are you smiling when I say that?
No, I'm not saying anything.
But the point is, we kind of see an idealized version of that person, right? Well, passion about anything works exactly like that. If it's going to last, that kind of hot, bright, fiery relationship has to kind of, that still is there, but it kind of also then starts to become a deep love. That's purpose. Purpose is kind of that deep love. What's that deep love that drives you? And so we see that just like any relationship, this relationship with things external to us all start inside of us with us finding that passion. And we'll tell you how to do that here in just a second. But then that passion going to a deep love, your purpose.
So basically the purpose gives you the ability to withstand anything.
Yes, because it's the driver. It drives you.
And that leads us to our next point. So I may be passionate about basketball, but if I'm no good at basketball, what do I do?
Grow about a foot.
Yeah.
That helps, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't be a basketball player. Well, the thing is, now we added third P. We've talked about passion. We've talked about purpose. Now let's think about proficiencies, okay?
So this is like, let's get real. Is that what this is?
Yes, kind of. And I mean, the thing is, this is where you start. You start with your proficiencies. Start with your strengths. Because chances are that you love what you're good at. The problem is that your base level of skills aren't good enough. So you love what you're good at, but you're not good enough, okay? And what we're really saying here is God's given you a gift. That's a clue to your passion.
To what you need to develop.
Your gifts are a clue to your passion, yes. And what you want to do is you want to develop that so that your true talents shine forth. But it's a matter of taking that God-given gift and building on it. And the best example I can think of this is my favorite basketball player ever. I think yours too. Michael Jordan.
Oh, yes. Go Bulls.
Now, since you brought up basketball, so it made me think, of course, of Michael Jordan. He also is pretty good at golf, but he tried being a baseball player for a while. Didn't work out. I mean, he's
Right.
not Michael Jordan on the baseball field. He's Michael Jordan in the basketball arena.
But he had a passion for baseball,
He
right?
had a passion
and that's
for
why
baseball.
he decided
Yes.
to try it.
And he's good. He's just not.
But wait a minute, though. You're confusing me in a sense that he did eventually stop playing baseball because
Yes.
it just didn't work out. So, I mean, should we just give up on something? I mean, he had a passion for something, and maybe his proficiencies weren't that great. But if you feel a purpose, wouldn't you just not give up?
It depends. I mean, is it a hobby? Are we talking about your hobby? In which case, you can play baseball all you want. Or is it how you make your living? Because if it's how you make your living, you're probably better off not doing that thing, finding out, okay, what is it that I'm really good at? Why don't I work on developing those talents?
That's a good point, yeah.
And the key thing here is this is exactly what the study says. The authors of the study say that you are better off developing your passion. You develop it by finding your strengths and then looking at those strengths and saying, okay, what does that equate to? What would those strengths be useful for?
And then, I mean, how do you do that? How do you develop your passion?
This is going to sound so simple that it almost is like easy to ignore. You need to be aware. Be aware of your internal self, internally, like
What your intuition is telling
yes,
you,
exactly,
those kinds of things.
But also be aware of the external environment. What opportunities are you seeing? And that's the key thing right there is the word opportunity. Here's the deal. If you find the right opportunities, or in other words, if opportunities present themselves, what you're going to see is a series of opportunities starts telling you what your passion is and what your purpose is and what your proficiencies are. Okay? So the thing is, entrepreneurs are really good at this. So
wait a minute, and I don't mean to interrupt
No, that's
you,
fine.
but I think this is all coming together because your passion is an internal thing.
Yes.
And you're talking about opportunities which are external.
Yep.
And so what we really need to do, because we're always being told, find your passion, look internally for what it is that you want to do or what maybe your calling is. But what you're saying is that a lot of times that appears to us from external factors.
Yes. And you're exactly right. And this is the thing that entrepreneurs get. And we always say, you're the entrepreneur of your life. You run your life. You control your life. You own your life. And entrepreneurs are very opportunistic. They find ways of doing things that other people won't do. And we've actually done a whole show on this, which we'll have the link in the show notes.
Yes.
Because there's too much to go into here. But the bottom line is just this. An entrepreneur tries to wipe out all the risk or as much risk as possible so that they can move forward. Here's what you need to think about. Well, here's what that means. How much time could you afford? How much money could you afford? What can you do with the resources you already have? These are some questions to ask yourself to help you move forward. And what you'll see is the opportunities that's being presented to you. God presents them to you. The universe presents them to you. However you want to look at it. The point is, we believe God shows these opportunities to you. And as you act on these opportunities, you move forward. And as you're moving forward, you're gaining resources. And as you're gaining resources, you're able to keep doing more and more and more. You know what you're doing? You're spiraling upwards. And that leads to big success.
And that leads us to our big takeaway.
The best place to find your passion is in your God-given gifts.
Now, when striving to uncover your God-given gifts, it helps to maintain an abundant mindset. And to help you with just that, we've created a free kit called the Big Success Abundant Living System. 5 steps to living abundantly. The sign up is in the show notes for this episode. And we thank you so much for listening today. Until next time,
here's to your big success.
Find big success at biggsuccess.com.